endless experiences to leave you.
Hey everyone, how's it going? Is the sound on YouTube everything's good? Can I just confirm it with everyone, please? Hey everyone, how's it going? Is the sound on YouTube everything's good? Can I just confirm it with everyone, please? I'm not talking right now, yes, but I am talking now. So if you guys can hear me on TradingView, and if you guys can hear me on YouTube, and the sound is okay, that would be excellent. So it is okay. It is okay. Just echo. Sound is fine. Good, 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 good. Yep. So let's get started, everyone. Let's get started. Um, so I did take a loss on Euro Yen. I can update everyone in my Telegram, but I was able to get back into Euro Yen here again. I think the price again. I talk about from the price doesn't change, right? Overall structure doesn't change. Just because the entry that I took didn't work out doesn't change the fact that we are still in this larger correction, and the down move is still, to me, is reasonable to look for entry like such. And if I look closely here, I am talking. To me is reasonable. Yeah, so looking for a sell here, right? Looking for a sell position. So got back into this position when I see this kind of a rising wedge correcting itself out to this recent smaller double top. And we also have this kind of an M style pattern as well, right? So bearish reversal. So I decided to enter back into this position. Basically, just get tagging here. I had a wider stop loss, 25 pip above this high. And price tagging here. Looks like we are potentially forming another correction. We'll see how this one goes. I already moved my stop loss to break even, so pretty much risk free. I'll see how this position will work out. Wider stop loss, 25 pip above this high. And price tagging here. Looks like we are potentially forming another correction. We'll see how this one goes. I already moved my stop loss to break even, so pretty much risk free. I'll see how this position. Okay, so yeah, if the YouTube is choppy, I apologize, but I think it's better. I hope it's better than before. So I'm just trying to change things around. I did modify things here and there, just trying to make it better. I hope that's better. But anyways, that is the only position I have running right now, just on Euro Yen. If it does correct here, I would like to see price keep pushing down. Really, the main target, well, the first target would be somewhere like here for about 5.5 to 1, but the main target would be at the bottom here. I think there's a lot more room to the downside if it does play out. But again, we'll see how this one goes. We don't know how the price will develop, right? And then, but let's look into this market update. I really don't have too much on watch. If you can see, I don't have too much on the right here. We can take a look at maybe a couple dollar pairs, but I'm not really seeing too much here on dollar. Now, the reason being is we can look at euro dollar here. Now, remember on Monday when I update everyone on euro dollar, I was looking more at potential continuation on euro dollar, right? On Monday when I did the update, I did mention about euro dollar. If it does kind of give us a potential correction here, that would be a entry. Now, I really don't see it playing out because I was looking at this structure here and it didn't really do anything, right? It didn't really break out. It didn't really give me that bullish confirmation from the price. So I'm not really feeling it basically because it doesn't really give us that bullish breakout. It didn't give us it did have a consolidation, but it didn't have a bullish impulse up. Which in this case, if we were to enter such position, we would set the stop entry order above, right? But it never tagged us in, so no trade here, right? And it looks like it is pretty much just dropping down now, right? If we look closely into the lower time frame, basically just push down here, small correction, and push down. So this kind of give me a little bit more of a neutral bias on the dollar pairs. I'm going to be more cautious with them. Right, the big move has happened, and now potentially it is reversing. We don't know if this is going to kind of correct here and then continue lower, or is it going to basically form a deeper consolidation before upside? So it's best to give us a little bit more time for the price to correct here and then take another approach and just kind of wait for the better price action to develop here. Right. So that's just what I want to touch base on. Well, I do want to use this time again. I hate to do this, but I do want to use this time again, everyone, to just bring your attention about this message I have. Again, I would never message you out of nowhere. I would never ask you to send or receive money. I would not provide signals, charge you for anything or anything sort of subscription. Lately, there's been scammers impersonating me to do this, and I have to do this pretty much every stream or update everyone in various of my platforms to basically remind everyone that's what's going on right now. But it's getting less, so which is good. The scammers are not getting what they want, right? And everyone here with me are smart. They understand I don't do any of these. So if you get these kind of scammer messages, just ignore them, right? Just ignore them. Best way to find out is check their profile, right? If you check their profile, this is my only profile and only account on Telegram. So if the username is anything different from this, then you know it's a scam. It's pretty much basic, right? Scammers direct message you because they don't have access to any of my platforms, right? So they can only direct or private message you. So just ignore it and block them, right? That's all you can do. Always make sure you get the messages from my official accounts, such as these ones. Okay, so this post is in my Telegram channel. Okay, so if you ever have any doubts, just click my Telegram channel. All the information is here. All right. So let's get started now. Okay. So I do have to go over that unfortunately, but it's getting better. I'm getting less and less people to message me about this scammer situation. So now we can start looking at dollar index, and then I'll kind of go through the pairs going down. If you have any pairs you want me to quickly take a look, let me know. But make sure you put in long or short on what the direction that you're looking at. So if you put Euro Aussie long, yeah, put long, or if you have any other pair, just put the direction for me. That would be easy for me to go over. Now let's start with dollar index, right? Because dollar index did had a little bit of reversal like this, right? We saw this on I think on Monday or Tuesday, right? I think it was Monday to be correct when we I think it was Tuesday when we had the market kind of pull back and we have the crypto kind of crash as well. So what can we expect from here? I think we didn't quite reach this low, but it is looking like it is reversing up, right? So be careful here. I saw some of you guys enter the trade. I think it's fine, but just watch out for this high here. Is it going to break the high and then continue? Or is it going to hit this area and then start reversing, right? So be careful in this area. Uh, I think as long as, in my opinion, as long as the price is still in this larger higher time frame structure, everything that happens here is can still lead to a potential sell. Okay, so just kind of look at this structure here. Potentially, you could make a head and shoulder here, and then still continue, right? So while there is lower time frame, while there is lower time frame development, but just be careful that it might be short term, it might be a little bit just on a lower time frame, and the higher time frame bias here is still quite strong in my opinion. I still have the double top here, right? We still have this ascending structure. We did have the impulsive push. I think the only thing, if this breaks above and then continue upwards to the top, then we will, reevaluate to see what the price will do at this top. But until then, this area here, just be a little bit more careful on this high here. I'm not looking to buy or sell at this given moment, but this gives us a little bit better bias of what the dollar may do in the near future. Okay, so moving on to Aussie dollar. Aussie dollar is something that some of you guys messaged me. I think I talked about this on Monday. Was breaking the high here needs correction to confirm, right? And I talk about I would rather see a larger correction than a smaller correction, right? Because this bullish move is quite fierce and quite strong. Now, but if we look at the lower time frame here, it basically kind of creates some sort of a structure here, and then it reversed down, right? And then there is looking like there is a correction to push down lower. Um, I personally won't be selling here, but I do see some of you guys who are looking at this. As long as that fits your plan to enter, it's just that this move is quite sharp, so it kind of throws me off a little bit on to enter a sell position. I think it's better to wait for a little bit better development because I'm still looking at this structure here, and something can happen here that's in the similar kind of scale, right? Like, so that's why it's a little bit throwing me off here. I'm not. This doesn't fit my plan too short. But I think if you got in because of the reversal, because of the double top, I think that's fine. But as long as you manage the trade accordingly, right? Because if you enter here, did you move the stop loss to break even? Or you probably should move the stop loss to break even now that it is slowly pushing down, right? So that's risk management, something that you can control, right? Now we can go over pound dollar. I know some of you guys are looking at pound dollar as well, and I saw this kind of a sell that you guys point out. Again, it's the same thing as Aussie dollar, and I do recognize the probability. I do recognize the confluence, right? I do see a potential double top. I do see a ascending channel. I do see the head and shoulder as well and breakdown. All that is confluence, right? And it's not wrong enter here. Remember, I always talk about there's no right and wrong, right? It's just depending on how your plan will be on these kind of situation. I think it's fine. It's just that for me, when I zoom out a little bit on the higher time frame, like I'm still having more neutral perspective on this area. I think this is a bigger consolidation. Looks like if you want to put lines in like this, looks like it's in a bigger consolidation. I would prefer this move push up to this high here and then looking for a sell. I think that would be a little bit better. But it's not wrong, right? It's not wrong to enter the sell here as long as that fits your plan. And if you backtest these kind of plans or backtest these kind of development, as long as that fits your plan, go ahead and execute, right? That's what I would always say. But again, it's the same thing with Aussie dollar. Just be careful. This might be just a smaller short-term move to the downside, right? And then potentially, if we don't break this low or this low, in fact, and then we might have a reversal up afterwards. So manage your trade accordingly. That's kind of my answer to some of you guys who are in this sell. Because I did see this kind of a correction after breakout, right? Typical kind of entry, but it's not really pushing down here. Maybe it's forming another correction here. Um, but I would have more be happy to see this push down a little bit lower and then form a correction here. I think that would be a better entry or a better development of the bearish price. And that's good for us to continue the sell. Other than that, that's pretty much all the dollar I am looking at. I really don't see other dollar pairs. That's for me at least. If you have any other dollar pair you want me to take a look, I'm happy to take a look. But I'm not really interested in any dollar pair at this given moment. Yep, so I see a few pairs on that you guys are talking about: Euro Aussie, Pound Aussie, and Kiwi Swiss, which I will go over. But anything on the dollar pair that you guys want me to? If not, I'm going to continue. I'm going to continue to the yen pairs now. Um, Again, dollar pair seems like it's reversing, right? So seems like it's reversing, but again, for me personally, I want to be a little bit more cautious. Okay, I want to be a little bit more cautious. It is reversing on the lower time frame. Don't get me wrong. It's just that sometimes this pullback here, and then what if it start creating something like this, right? We're creating some sort of inverse head and shoulder, and then continue afterwards. So that's a possibility as well. And for me personally, I want to be a little bit more cautious. I want to watch for the development a little bit more before considering entry. So, but always follow your plan, everyone. This is what I encourage, and this is what I do because I want everyone to create their own plan, understand the your own trading plan, your risk management, how to enter, and things like that. So you are making your own decision on your trades, right? So let's look at some other things. Yeah, good day, everyone. Let's look at some yen pairs. Looking at cat yen here. I think cat yen is great. I think it's similar like euro yen, but I think euro yen is slightly better, right, because of the structure that it's creating. No, I think cat yen it's in that similar situation. Remember the cat yen position that I think a bunch of us took when we had the sell. Now price falls into this kind of ascending structure, right? So we know that this is typically a reversal. Now, there was an entry here. I think that was fine if you enter here. A little bit of pullback here, but again, this is probably just from New York session opening. I do agree there is potential downside. I think the higher time frame is still pretty clean. Consider we have a kind of a head and shoulder, sorry, a double top. To me, this is still a head and shoulder, right? Doesn't matter because this didn't break down. There's a consolidation here, right? So to me, this can still be a right shoulder to push down the price. Okay, so now if we get back on the lower time frame, we have that ascending structure, which is good. If you see what's going on here, it's very, very similar to what's going on here, right? So you have a push up on the price and then it falls into more of a ascending structure reversal and then eventually push down the price. So same thing could similarly happen here, right? I like also that this bearish push down is reversed by a bullish impulse, but it's not continued by a bullish continuation. Instead, it forms into a bearish kind of price action to go lower, right? So if you're looking for a sell here, I think it's fine. I think that's okay. It's just that if you're choosing a couple other ones, I think there's Euro Yen, and I think Swiss Yen is also good, which we will talk about. But I think it's there. The confluence is there. If you enter here, I think it's perfectly fine as well. Okay, if you're in this trade here, good job. I do agree that the bearish move is more likely, and you kind of want to watch out here at this previous low. This previous low is kind of the neckline of the previous low, right? So they just kind of be careful what the price will do here. If it does break down, great, right? If it does continue, then expect further downside and pretty much completes this head and shoulder pattern. So let's continue. Kiwi dollar, do I think it's going to be bullish? Again, it's a little bit hard to tell because you can look at lower time frame here. The lower time frame is pushing down, right? There's like a few corrections here. But if we look at the higher time frame here, to me, it's more bullish in my opinion. Now, it all depends on what the price will do here in the next, maybe 1 or 2 days. If it does form into a consolidation here, then I do agree the upside is more promising, right? Because this is clearly a bullish push up to the upside. We potentially completed this larger structure with few swing highs and few swing low. And if we have this impulsive break, if we have a kind of a correction after the breakout, then I do agree another upside is possible. But like I said, it all depends on what's going to happen here, right? So it's a good idea to be patient here, to basically wait for what the development will be here, right? Because we need to confirm it with a confirmation, kind of a consolidation here, right? Because price always going to impulse, correct, impulse, right? So the correction here is super important. So let's continue here. Swiss yen. So let's look at Swiss yen. I'll go back to the Aussie yen, but Swiss yen here. I think a lot of us are looking at Swiss yen. I think it's could potentially happening now. But we already talked about higher time frame on Monday, right? We talked about the overall higher time frame, that the bias here is a potential sell. If we look at the lower time frame here, we had that impulsive break, we have that larger structure. We had another push down here, and it looks like this is kind of a continuation structure to go lower, right? Now, if we look even more closely into the lower time frame, some of you guys messaged me if this is a potentially sell. Personally, I won't be taking sell like this. I would prefer a breakout for the price, which is happening now. And if there is a consolidation here, I think that's fine to enter a potential sell here. If it's developing some sort of correction here, I think that's fine. Just be careful, like I said on Monday, is just watching out this low here. Make sure you obviously manage your trade accordingly, put your stop loss in break even if it does push down. And if it does end up breaking out of this area and breaking out of this higher time frame ascending channel as well, then further downside, I think it's very, very likely. So that's something also on my watch in the remaining of the week. But because I am in Euro Yen, right, so I'll be a little bit more cautious with a couple of the yen pairs. Now we can look at a few other yen pairs like Aussie yen and Kiwi yen. Again, same thing with kind of what we talked about Monday, right? When we see this break above this high, I mentioned, well, there should be some sort of consolidation if you're looking for upside, right? But if there is no consolidation, if there is no bullish price action, this looks like Aussie dollar very much, right? If you look at this, it's basically the same thing like Aussie dollar here, right? So Aussie yen is pushing lower as well. Okay, so I personally is more neutral on these ones. We could either form a larger correction here to correct this move here, or the lower time frame here, double top here, potentially is significant enough to drop the price. Again, it's a little bit contradicting, so I'm happy to trade other yen pairs. or get involved with other yen pairs, which is a lot more clear for a potential downside. Now, this can easily kind of push down and then turn into a bearish correction to push lower, right? That's certainly possible. It's just that this bullish move is quite sharp, right? I don't like to go against the impulsive phase right away unless there is further bearish development here to basically confirm the bearish bias here for me, right? So that's Aussie yen. Let's talk about pound yen here. Now, pound yen to me is I'm more leaning towards the sell bias here. Now, it just has to break out of here and correct here to confirm it, right? But other than that, this is still a consolidation, in my opinion. And again, I talk about this on Monday, the outlook that this is a neckline here, right? So as long as you know that there is some room to the downside, but may or may not break this low area, just be careful that if you're into the sell, if the price does give you that confirmation impulse, confirmation correction to get in, then just understand that price may bounce off from this area once again, right? That's a probability that we need to acknowledge. Make sure you put the direction of the pair that you're looking at. So if you put Euro CAD or something like that, make sure you put long or short so I can know what direction you're looking at. What is the typical reason when a pair is on Monday, watch this and delete it on Wednesday? I found myself after making a forecast, put the pair on watch list, and I tend to force a bias that I made at first. But price continue to develop, right? So if you look at Monday, what I saw at the time on Monday, uh, I did see few pairs here, right? So the dollar pairs didn't work out, didn't really play out to the confirmation I was looking for. The yen pairs did. Few Aussie Kiwi here and there correcting, right? The indices I will go over it's working, right? So sometimes price continue to develop because the market moves every second, right? So what was originally what we're looking at, sometimes it doesn't develop into that price action. It's like euro dollar as example, right? So euro dollar, we talk about the upside, right? And I was mentioning that well, if we get some sort of correction here, that can give us a potential opportunity to buy. But price doesn't have to do that, right? Remember the post I created, the mini lesson I talk about. The market can do whatever it wants to do, right? So it doesn't have to follow our technical analysis or it doesn't have to follow our forecast. If it doesn't play out, we don't enter, right? This is the best part about controlling our entries is that we don't take market orders. A lot of beginner traders, again, that depends on everyone's strategy, but taking market order is a lot of emotion, right? It's just more rushing it. You're making impulsive decision. If we take entry orders or taking, stop entry orders, something like this, if I was to enter, I will put the stop entry order above, right? So price will never take me in. So I have no entry and price move down, right? That's how we protect ourselves in this kind of scenarios, right? Because while we have a bullish bias at the time, price doesn't need to develop into it, right? So if it doesn't develop into it, then we move on to other opportunities, right? And then we'll continue going to monitor this price, right? Continue and see if we're going to get further downside, like a reversal from this point forward, or are we going to fall into a deeper correction, right? We don't know what's going to happen, right? So that's why we need to continue update, right? What was on the market on Monday may not be the same on Wednesday, right? So let's go Kiwi Yen here. Did someone say Kiwi Yen? No. Anyways, quickly go over Kiwi Yen. I think it's the same with Aussie Yen, in my opinion. But Kiwi Yen really broke this previous high here, right? And it doesn't look like it's falling down as much as every other yen pairs. like at least Euro yen, Swiss yen is like pushing down. CAD yen is pushing down as well, right? So that's nice. I don't see Kiwi yen pushing down as strong. It almost looks like this is more of a bullish correction to go higher. So to me, it's if you're looking for something like this because we broke this high here, right? And if you think this is a potential bias to go low, sure. But again, you have to look at the scale of this bullish push up. It's quite strong, right? Look how previously how the price moved down after the impulsive phase. There's a longer period of correction. So to me, I just don't think this is enough, at least from the experience point of view, to continue to the high here. I just don't think this bullish push up will continue like this without a bigger or solid continuation correction, like something like this or something like this, to continue the price. And especially when you look at a couple other yen pairs are looking a little bit more bearish to me. Right, you see even Aussie yen is pushing down a little bit more than something like Kiwi yen, like here. Right, so I would not get involved with Kiwi yen here. I would rather get involved with a couple other yen pairs. So let's continue here. Euro Aussie now. Euro Aussie. Some of you guys are looking at this long. Yes. So if Aussie pair is losing strength, then on Monday, remember we talk about this double bottom here. Potentially, I mentioned like if I would not recommend selling here, right? Because we're getting so close to the low. Now it looks like we have a kind of a bullish impulse up, which is good, right? You're looking for this bullish impulse up. Is there a continuation to go higher? Again, this is not something that fits my plan to enter, but I think the confluence is there, right? You have a double bottom here. You basically had a impulse down, kind of a reversal correction, and an impulse up. And it looks like there is continuation here, right? So if you into this kind of trades, I think it's fine if you want to enter something like this. I personally won't, but I think it's fine. There's potentially inverse head and shoulder as well. So I think the confluence, at least the bias here, is a low. Now, how low this can go up, you gotta look at the bigger scale. If this is just a kind of a pullback, what if it forms into a head and shoulder to go lower, right? That's a possibility as well. So just be a little bit careful. These kind of trades, they may or may not be the one that's going to kind of take off like this, right? They can have a quick pullback, but the higher time frame here, because it seems like we have a top here, right? This is like a double top. We have an impulse move, we have a reversal impulse. So if this falls into a kind of a bearish correction here, this can likely to go lower as well, right? So just be careful in these kind of positions, because when you zoom out here, this may give you a better idea of what the price may do. EuroCat. So EuroCat, wow, looks like it's pushing up. I was looking at this to see if we can get it pushed down here and then a consolidation. Looks like there really isn't no consolidation. I was looking to see something like this, some sort of scale like this to get a head and shoulder pattern or something. But I think CAD is gaining strength a lot. I mean, sorry, CAD is losing strength a lot, and that's why it's pushing up, right? So, but I don't see the same confluence anymore. I was looking at this to see if we're going to get a sell opportunity. I think a lot of you guys are looking at this as well, right? Double top here, impulsive move to the downside. I was looking at this to see if this is going to be a continuation price action. Similar like this, right? Similar like an impulse down, correction here to push lower. I think it just didn't really give you that opportunity here, right? We want us to see some sort of consolidation here. Even if I zoom in a little bit more, right? So I don't see the same confluence anymore as I once saw maybe a couple hours ago. So be careful here. I don't think the sell is there anymore. This might even just continue push to the upside now, right? So just be careful. I don't see the same sell kind of bias anymore once this New York session kind of push up like this. So let's go to Euro Kiwi here. Euro Kiwi, same approach on Monday, right? I still kind of look at this and I'm telling myself that if the consolidation stands, right, if the consolidation continue here, I think the sell is reasonable. But again, we're not selling just because some high test candle or something, anything like that, right? We want to confirm with a consolidation. A consolidation here would be very nice to see. That can easily lead to another bearish push down for the price. Overall, higher time frame to lower time frame, I still reasonably like this overall bearish move. This to me, as long as still stays the same, to me is still a continuation potential. So a correction after breakout here would be very ideal to look for a possible sell. Now again, this requires development, right? I don't think it's ready yet. This area here could continue to correct. The only way that this is going to void it or like unapplicable anymore is this is just going to start reversing upwards, right? Potentially like Euro Aussie, I would say, right? It looks like Euro Aussie is already pushing up, which means Aussie is getting weaker. Whereas Euro Kiwi, it looks like Kiwi is still relatively strong, right? We went over Kiwi dollar and Kiwi yen. They're still quite strong in that sense, right? It's still quite strong. So Pound Aussie, some of you guys are looking at long, and I think it would be this very similar kind of price action like Euro Aussie, right? Euro Aussie, Pound Aussie, they're pretty similar. I did see some of you guys talking about that there is some descending structure here, and I do agree on the lower time frame there is something developing here. Again, it looks like there is a kind of a neutral or reversal really on correction that's pushing up. It's a little bit choppy. I would prefer a better push up for the price, right? Something like this. This is a little bit more noticeable on the lower time frame, and but I think it's going to be very similar like Euro Aussie. It did had a consolidation here to basically uh, reverse from this price, right? And then it's a little bit pushed up now. Now I would probably choose Euro if I was to buy these, which I won't. But if I was to choose between Euro Aussie and Pound Aussie, I would choose Euro Aussie for the upside move. Okay, it's just a little bit more cleaner. We have a potential double bottom here as well, which is a better confluence. I don't think this is really the low. This looks like it's more pushing up. So it's counted as a impulsive phase in this case. Whereas Euro Aussie, this is a confirmed kind of low, right? So again, filtering process. You don't necessarily want to take all the Aussie pairs in this case, but if you were to choose one, I think Euro Aussie is slightly better. So let's continue here. Someone also mentioned about, I do want to touch base on Pound Kiwi. It's going to be very similar like Euro Kiwi, right? So Pound Kiwi basically broke down. I know some of you guys caught the sell here or here. So if you're still holding it, very good. I think there is possible consolidation here once more. Depending on what size of this consolidation will be, this can easily lead to another down move, right? And the overall price is clean, to my opinion. We broke down from this correction here in a larger correction. So a consolidation here can give us a potential opportunity to sell again. And again, it's similar like Euro Kiwi, right? It's just like I think Pound Kiwi is pound pairs are a little bit even more weaker. So this can give you a better opportunity of selling if it does develop a consolidation here. Euro yen, is there another re-entry? I mean, it depends, right? I if this is going to be a correction here, I think that is possible if that fits your plan, right? But again, this is something that I would suggest if you're looking for something like this. Now, if it does correct here, right? If it does correct here, you can possibly look for an entry like this. I think this is a consolidation that's happening right now. I like how we're gonna break out of at least break below this wedge, which was my first initial entry. So if it does develop here, I think it is fine if you're looking for an entry like this. But again, have your own plan, have your own risk management, and how you want to enter. Don't necessarily copy directly how I do it. you have to see why you're entering, right? So you have to agree that this is a position that you want to enter, and of course, take responsibility of your own entry. Well, Cat Yen pushed down quite a bit as well. I'm not sure anyone caught this one here. This was an entry that I was looking at, but I was in Euro Yen already, so I didn't enter this one. But again, I think CAD is losing strength, right? Just like if you're looking dollar, CAD is pushing up quite a bit as well. So you're welcome, guys. You're welcome. Happy to do these, of course. Now let's continue here. Looks like there's some question about Aussie Kiwi. I do agree Aussie Kiwi can still be something. It's just kind of like waiting for what the price will do here. I think nothing changes. Okay, you hear me say nothing changes this term a lot. It just means that the price action, as long as we're still in this consolidation of a descending structure, I still have a good, reasonable bias here for a potential buy. Now, I did take a loss here, right, on Friday, if I recall. I did take a loss here. That was an entry that I updated everyone in the recap video. I think there's possible another entry if we do kind of break out here and then consolidate, if that fits your plan. Or if you want to be much, much safer, is price has to break out of this descending structure. And then a continuation here would be much, much safer to target the top. But again, depends on your plan, right? Some people prefer a more riskier entry, right? This is, if you enter here, this will be like a reversal order in something that I will talk about. But if it does break out and form a correction here, that would be a correction after breakout, right? So it depends on your plan, depending on your risk tolerance. But I think the overall structure here is clean, right? We have that double bottom here. This was a double bottom here where I think a couple of us caught this buy here, consolidation and push up the price, right? So we're right back at this double bottom here. So, and we have the descending structure, we have the lower time frame descending structure, and we basically had an impulse up. This is potentially a larger correction for making while we're in this descending structure. So a lot of confluence, in my opinion, a lot of price action development is just kind of waiting for the right setup to form, right? In my opinion, a lot of price action development is just kind of waiting for the right. Now, continue. Someone asked about Kiwi Swiss, if I'm correct. Kiwi Swiss long. Yep. Kiwi Swiss long. Um, I do agree something could happen here, right? It's the same thing. I think I updated everyone here on Monday when I do the market outlook. Kiwi Swiss and Aussie Swiss was on the list, right? Kiwi Swiss and Aussie Swiss was on the list. Basically, kind of just waiting to see if we're going to get a development here, right? If it's going to give us a consolidation here, that could lead to another up move. But that all depends really if we're going to get that consolidation. So if you look at Kiwi Swiss, it's going to be very similar like Euro Kiwi, right? Because they're inverse correlated. So if it does develop here on Euro Kiwi, it's likely to develop here on Kiwi Swiss. So it's, again, choose one of the best ones to enter, right? But I don't think it's going to be ready today. I think a better consolidation, a deeper consolidation is needed, and it's better if we wait for a consolidation here. I think that would be a better entry to look for a long. And Aussie Swiss is the same idea, right? We are in this kind of a expanding structure, I want to call, right? So it becomes a reversal upside. And we kind of sitting at this previous high here, so a consolidation here would lead us to another buy move potentially. Now, any question on any of the currency pair, guys? I did go over them a little bit faster, but I think that's all the ones that I want to talk about today. If you have anything else you want me to take a look, please let me know now and make sure you add the direction. If not, we can go over commodity and indices. I do want to go over indices. I think there is possible opportunities on some of these. which is kind of developing soon, right? These are the ones I talk about on Monday. So we'll talk about these unless there is any question on the currency pairs before we jump into indices and commodities. Dollar ZAR. Yeah, I personally don't really. I know we talk about dollar ZAR a few times. This is looking more a little bit like dollar index, at least this last bit of the price. If you look at this last bit of the price, it almost looks like it is similarly like what's going on here, but it looks like ZAR, the currency, South African rand, is a little bit stronger, right? Right now, the dollar is looking like it's losing weakness, right? It's like dropping, but like dollar ZAR here, it's a little bit not moving back up. So it's a little bit contradicting almost because if you look at every other dollar pairs, it's look like it's losing strength right now, right? So the dollar is losing. Sorry, the dollar. Let me retrace back everything. I apologize. The dollar is gaining strength, right? Because the dollar index is going up. Euro dollar is going down, meaning the dollar is gaining strength. What I was trying to say, sorry, is that dollar ZAR here doesn't look like it's pushing up that fiercely, right? It's kind of like that means that the ZAR currency is also strong. So it's not having the same kind of bullish push up like most of these other dollar pairs, right? The dollar pairs seems like it's gaining strength, right? So I personally is not really favoring this. I don't really see anything, especially we're at this bottom here. Right now, there is potential to see that if you see this as some sort of descending structure, yeah, this is some sort of descending structure. And if this is going to kind of push up on the price and then correct, then possibly there is a buy opportunity. But again, this really doesn't fit my plan to enter because I'm not really seeing other confluence for a buy other than just a double bottom here, right? There's potential double bottom, and that's about it so far. It hasn't really impulsively break up yet or anything like that. So if you're looking for something like this, it's better for you to wait. I exit early on Cat Yen because seeing a reversal impulse. Do you think reversal is not big enough to be counted as reversal impulse? I mean, that's really up to your management plan, right? This really isn't an impulse, I would say, right? Like, I mean, if you count this as an impulse, sure, but I don't think this is an impulse. And if we want to exit position, usually we're waiting for an impulse up, and then if there is a continuation correction, I mean, if you count this as a continuation correction, if you count that as your way to exit, then that's fine. But if you didn't see this as a continuation correction and you exit because of this, then maybe is something that you can work on or something that you can consider in the future. I personally always talk about if an impulse down is followed by a reversal impulse, and if there is consolidation here, it's potential that it's going to continue. And this could be one of your exit plan if this develop on the price and then you exit accordingly because of this, right? Something like that. All right, so let's continue here. If there's no other currency that you guys are looking at, so we can move on to other things. Why don't we look at the indices first? Looks like there is some movement on indices. Nasdaq crashing. I wouldn't say this is crashing, but I would say this is falling to kind of what we're looking at, right? Remember on Monday we did go over a few. We talked about Nasdaq and S&P. It looks like it is kind of developed into the price action we're looking for, right? So this is why patience pays off, right? When this move happens, when it push up, and people are asking me, yeah, is this going to take off? Well, I always say my bias on the indices is always a sell, right? My bias is always on the sell, and it really depends on if this is going to push up higher and then continue upward like this. If that doesn't happen, then I'm expecting the sell to happen, right? This is kind of a reversal correction. I think what we can wait for here in this kind of scenario is if this can just push down a little bit lower and then if we form correction here, I think this will be a good opportunity to sell. Depends on how the correction will form, or will it even give us a lower time frame correction to look for a sell. But I think Nasdaq here is looking very clean. I would certainly get involved with either Nasdaq here or S&P 500. It's similar structure, similar bias here as well. Remember, we talk about every time when the price reach the top, it tend to have that move down from the price, but the last few times it just never really break out of this structure here. But as every time when the price does move to the top again, there is just going to be opportunity to sell every time. It's just whether or not this is going to be the time that's going to break out, or is it going to do this continuously moving up. But the more it does, the better it is, because we know how price action develop, right? We know how the likelihood of the price repeating itself to potentially completing a reversal correction. I'm not saying we're gonna get coronavirus kind of crash, but we should get some sort of corrective price action that can either hit the low or low, right? Few targets here, depending on how the price will reach these areas as well. But I do have a bias of a potential sell on these indices, and definitely want to get involved in a couple of these indices, either Nasdaq or S&P 500. I think that's all going to be pretty decent risk reward. Remember, I updated everyone yesterday. Yesterday I made a post about mini lesson of the day, understanding about price. Right, the market can do whatever it wants to do. So understand why we have risk management, why we keep our risk small, and then we keep our reward big, because any professional, consistent trader will take losses. Okay, taking losses is part of the game. Whoever tells you they don't take losses is definitely lying to you or trying to sell you something. Taking losses is fine, right? Because all professional traders will take loss, but it's how they manage the risk, how they control their emotion, right? Cap their risk small, cap their reward big. So, even if you have a few losses, they will get covered up by your wins, right? So that's something I always try to teach and offer everyone, is understanding that concept. Okay. Dow Jones, same idea, right? We have this kind of a structure pushing up. We're potentially reversing. You can see that bullish push up, kind of a reversal correction. We push down. We get consolidation here. I think it's the same idea. And I do agree is if these indices are going to drop, they're likely to drop together anyway. So it's best to pick one or two of these, right? And to filter them, I think I would say S&P and Nasdaq is slightly cleaner compared to Dow Jones. I think Nasdaq is probably the best one because it resembles exactly how coronavirus was. And I think S&P is clean as well because it's similar like coronavirus as well, whereas I don't think Dow Jones is similarly. Okay, so there's a little bit off here, right, depending on how you want to draw this, but I'm just comparing, filtering the opportunities, and you want to pick the best one or two, right? Any question here on the indices, guys? Any question on them specifically? Yeah, I think German 30 would be very similar. I think we kind of touch base this on Monday, is that we're still in this kind of ascending structure. Um, Depending on how you see this, I think a correction here is fine, but I think probably a breakout is better, depending on how you see it. Again, I think because Nasdaq and SP, they have, like Nasdaq here, they have quite a bit more room. They're at the top, right? So there's quite a bit of room for it to drop, or even if it drop, if it's going to reverse, like we can potentially capture some profit. It's just that DEX here is a little bit closer to the structure. Now, like I said, if they're going to drop, they're likely to all drop together. That's just how the market works, right? When it comes to indices, when there is something going on in the world, they tend to crash together. Um, I think for me personally, if I see this as a potential structure, correction here is a potential sell, but I probably wait for a breakout and then a correction after breakout entry is probably better. That will suits me in this type of scenario better. But the sell, the bias here is potentially a sell, right? To me. So any question, guys, on the indices pair before we move on to other ones? Okay, so let's move on, guys. Let's move on to commodities. I really don't have much commodities. They seem to be dropping quite a bit, right? So, again, on Monday when I update my watch list for the week ahead, I mentioned that if we get a consolidation here, right, if we get some sort of consolidation here, similar like this, potentially could be a buy, but there is nothing here, right? So understand this, everyone. If you see, if you see a forecast or outlook, make sure you have your own plan because if it doesn't develop, then there's no entry, right? And if you enter because of emotion, greed, or whatever the case, fear of missing out, then you need to work on that aspect of trading, right? It's not something that can be just verbally told and you recognize it right away. It's just something that you need to understand is this is why we do forecasting, this is why we do analysis, and we are like we have a bias of a potential structure. If it doesn't develop, it doesn't push up from it, right? This is why we always do entry orders, right? So even if you want to argue that, okay, well, this could be an entry, well, if this is an entry, how will you enter it? We always set entry order, right? You will set the buy stop order here, you will put the stop loss below like this. Did it trigger you? No, right? If it doesn't trigger you, then you have no entry. Then you shouldn't be tagging into these when the price push down. Okay, so that's something that you need to think about. If you're constantly caught up into the situation where you're entering trades without confirmation, you're entering on a market order because you're afraid this is going to take off without you, then you really need to work on the emotion side of trading. Okay, you really need to think about, are you entering trades based on emotion? Are you entering trades, did you follow your plan, or are you just entering because someone said so? Because if you're entering because someone says so, like a signal, then it's going to be very hard to improve on your trading journey because trading is a ultimately your decision and your decision only. Okay, so think about that really carefully. Is if you cannot decide on your own decision, it's your decision only, then trading is just you're going around in circles. You're not advancing, right? Because you're gonna be like, oh, someone else told me to buy, I'll buy, and you have no idea why they're buying. And someone told me to sell, you have no idea why they're selling. You're just following them, but you're not really understanding why the decision of it, right? So you need to really dig into that aspect because nobody is in control of your account except you, right? So you gotta think about it this way. So the way how I see this now, because we really didn't get the push out from the price, and basically it looks like there is like a reversal now, right? So I'm not really leaning towards anything at this moment. I'm more neutral now. Now, if this push down and then forms into another correction, then certainly this becomes like a head and shoulder and go lower, right? But as of now, I'm more neutral on this. I'm not favoring the buy, nor I'm favoring the sell. I just want to watch a little bit more development here on silver. And I think it's the same with gold. Now, I saw some of you guys catch this trade here. Good job on your part if that fits your plan. Personally, I personally won't be looking at these kind of entries, but if you felt like this is a turning point of gold, right? We have a push down for the price. It looks like this is a continuation correction. So if this fits your plan to enter, go ahead and do so. Just that think about, I guess, consider the fact that is this going to be the one that start dropping all the way down to the low, or are we just getting maybe a deeper pullback before another upside? So again, it's the same thing with those Aussie dollar positions. Just be a little bit more careful. Now the sell, the bias, if you enter the sell, I think you should probably set it to break even if you're in the sell, because sometimes price can reverse up and might peg you out, right? So protect your capital. If you're in this kind of sell position, just move it to break even. And you're risk free now and just watch for the price to develop if it's going to, and just kind of watch out for the bigger time frame. Well, because obviously we know the bigger time frame is still a ultimate buy. It's just whether or not this is the time that it's going to take off and then continue, or we might just get another push down to the low. We don't know that yet, right? But as long as the price is still within the larger structure, to me, the higher time frame bias is still a buy, right? It's just not. It might not be ready today, right? It might not be ready this month or whatever. But judging by what I see in terms of higher time frame, I still favor a long in the long term outlook, right? So don't say that I'm looking for long here. I'm looking for long if the price does drop down to low again, right? And then looking for bullish reversal. But as of now, where the price is at, I'm not looking for buy nor I'm looking for sell. I'm just happy to wait for a little bit more development in the next few days or a week. So that's commodities. Any question here, guys? Okay, so let's continue to crypto now. I'm gonna wrap up with crypto and I have some time for Q&A or any pairs that I miss. No, I really don't have too much to talk about, but I will go over kind of the crypto. I mean, there was some news, right? My understanding is something to do with El Salvador, something to do with them and whether accepting Bitcoin or not. I'll get back to natural gas after, but I want to quickly go over some crypto stuff. Now, I did exit my Ripple position. I did exit my Ripple position here when price pretty much impulse down and then basically form. I was looking at this. Basically, just start forming these lower time frame corrections. Now, I already moved up my stop loss to this potential kind of bullish correction here. So I move up my stop loss just above here as a, if I was to enter a buy here, right? If I was to enter another buy here, I would move my stop loss to break even. So same idea here. I just moved my initial trade stop loss here. And I think this happens on Tuesday morning and just gonna crash down and then just tag me out here for I think about 1.5% and then continue to drop down. So overall, I'm still pleased. I got out of the position for 1.5, so I'm pretty happy. Probably could have secured maybe 2%, but I'm fine either way because I'm more looking for the long-term approach, right? The long-term approach to me was um, much higher, right? Even though we basically hit the high here and then start crashing down. But my original next target would be the next high here, right? So I didn't want to kind of move up the stop loss higher to choke the price. But again, it's just how individual traders management. Fine with this kind of result. And after the drop down, really not much is happening here, right? So I'm going to be a little bit more cautious with all the crypto. All the crypto, I'm just kind of observing. Like I'm still holding coins, right? I've been holding coins for a really long time on Cardano. this kind of things happen, right? We saw this happen and we recovered from that, and then so just gonna be very patient with it, right? Because if you're investing in coins, you don't really need to worry about a lot of these lower time frame movement, right? You're just kind of holding it, and you can check it every week or whatever. But if you're trading, then remember, if you're trading, whether or not if you're trading with leverage or not, be careful, right? This is what happens when market tends to liquidate things like that, and because there's probably a lot of people holding a long position on leverage, and so when they sell or when the market crash, it drops because their position is lost in the leverage, right? So I don't want to say this is a good thing, but it's like a lot of traders probably get their account, liquidated in this case when the leverage drop when they're in leverage position. So understand leverage can work with you as well as against you. Okay, it doesn't matter if you're trading crypto or forex or whatever. Leverage can work with you as well as against you, right? So you need to be very, very careful when something like this happens because a lot of times when the market drop like this, your position, your stop loss may not even get triggered. You understand why? Because there's no liquidation. There is just too much of a sell. No one is buying. So your position, your stop loss may not even be triggered. Okay, so be careful in that kind of sense, right? I talk about this when dollar Swiss dropped. I don't know if anybody was around trading when Swiss collapsed, right? I don't know if anybody was around that time, but basically, when the market drops like this, right? This is during 2016, if I recall, or 15. So when the market dropped like this, okay, understand this is when Swiss depegged their currency with euro. So if you imagine in a day it drops 18,000 pips, your stop loss will not get triggered. Your account is gonna get wiped out to zero or negative, in fact, right? Your account is gonna get wiped out and your stop loss will not get triggered. Okay, so understand this. This happens 2015. I was trading already. I was not in any Swiss positions, thank God. But I know many, many, many traders blew their account in a matter of seconds when this happens. Okay, so this is just a learning perspective for you guys, those of you uh, who understand leverage, right? This happens. Okay, so be careful. Same thing can happen on any other currency, any other pair. It's just one of those risk things that you need to be aware of. So what do I going back to the market? What do I see on most of these? Well, I don't really see too much here. Personally, I don't really see much on crypto right now. I mean, after this kind of a move down, there is going to be more development, right? They're waiting for more development, in my opinion. So I'm not really, overly looking for a sell, or I'm not looking overly for a buy. I'm just going to wait a little bit. Now I still think reasonably we reverse from this reversal correction and we push up to the upside, even though now it's kind of forming into a ascending structure. I think as long as it doesn't form a bearish continuation to go lower, I'm more fairly neutral. If it doesn't kind of break below this level here, I'm fairly neutral on this. This can still climb back up eventually. It's just that after this kind of crash, market tends to consolidate a little bit more, and we'll kind of get a better idea of what the market can do after this push down from the price. It doesn't necessarily have to continue lower, right? It can just be a crash down, right? So, okay. So, any question on Bitcoin or any question on crypto in general? I've read more than 3 billion gets liquidated in Bitcoin drop. What is the reason for a crash again? My understanding is something to do with El Salvador. I think it's something to do with this. I forgot what the news really is, but it's this happened Tuesday. Yeah, something to do with them. No, I mean they accepted they're gonna offer it, and then something else happened. I don't really know the full story. I'm sure you guys can figure out from doing some research, whatever. But this is basically what happened. So right now, smaller countries are accepting bitcoins, right? Or actually want to offer Bitcoin, whatever. So do a little bit more research on. I'm not an expert when it comes to this, but I'm sure you can find out. You can do some search on it. So yeah, I do agree that it is falling into a channel, right? This is the ascending channel that we're used to. I mean, like that's exactly what I mean. If it forms a correction here to go down, then I do agree this could lead to downside. But let's just wait, right? Be a little bit more cautious with what the price may do here. That may give you the opportunity to sell if that's what you're into, or be a little bit more observative to see what if price just push down here. Like let's say it pushed down here on a lower time frame, and it kind of pushes up, right? So if it forms into something like this, right, this can potentially push back again. We don't know, right? So it's best to kind of wait what's going on to happen here. What's the crash for Swiss? It's called they debag the currency with euro. Um, Simply saying is euro and Swiss had a peg currency. If you understand what that means, it means that they had an agreement to not change their currency between one another too much. So you can see during this period is not much movement, right? So from this period of time, they had an agreement. And from here, the Swiss just decided to be like, nope, we don't want to peg your currency anymore. We're going to go on our own. And then Swiss strengthened, right? That's why. This happened in 2015, if I recall. I was trading already. I think it was 2 years or 3 years into trading. I can't remember. But good thing I wasn't really in any of the Swiss pairs. If you bought Swiss before crash, well, if you bought Swiss pair, you're gaining it, right? Remember, I think if you're selling Swiss, that's kind of what you mean, right? But I mean, where are you going to buy Swiss trading without leverage? Most Forex brokers will be leveraged, right? So if you're buying Swiss, understand a lot more people made a bunch of money when Swiss, if they have positions that are in positive of Swiss, then they gain a lot, right? So current position in silver or gold, I don't have any currency. I don't have any position on silver or gold. Uh, I know some of you guys are looking at this sell if that's in your plan. But that's what I'm saying. Like, see how price is already retracing back up, right? So you're likely to get break even here. That's why I'm not really into these lower time frame kind of development, right? Again, they may or not work out. It's of course up to the market, but I tend not to take those positions when they are just lower time frame development. Okay. So, any question, guys, on any of the crypto? Any crypto questions regarding anything before we do a Q&A? I'm happy to do a Q&A on anything that you guys want. So, if no other crypto related question, I'm happy to talk about Q&A. How do I see crypto future? Again, it's a little bit too early to tell. I mean, obviously, if you're asking me for long term, I definitely still think long term is going to be upside, right? It's just that you're going to always get these type of things if we kind of log this, right? You're always going to get these kind of crash and then recover, right? It's just part of crypto market, right? So I don't ever really think crypto will become zero or whatever. It's just that you're going to get these volatility from time to time, right? So if you're holding coins, I don't think you should sell coins. You're just holding them. But if you're trading them, trading with leverage or whatever the case may be, then you should probably be a little bit more cautious in the next while, at least all things settle down, and then get back into it if the market gives you more bullish idea. If you guys been following me, I always talk about I don't like to sell crypto. Like I don't like to short sell cryptos like how we were selling Forex. Just me personally, I don't really like to sell crypto because I just don't like to go against the majority, and I only like to be buying crypto or trading a long position crypto rather than trading a short position crypto. Okay, so I don't see it that way. Like I definitely see crypto is definitely here to stay. It's been here long enough, right? So it's just that sometimes you go through these kind of cycles, right? It's just it happens. So when you're in doubt, just zoom out, right? I always talk about when you're in doubt, just zoom out. Like when you zoom out, what do you see, right? It's just you still continuously see market will move up and move down, 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 right? That's just how they do, right? If you like look at how Bitcoin is for the last X amount of years, right? So um, it's just a perspective thing, right? If you look at any other market, it's the same, right? It just doesn't move up in a straight line. It's going to move up, correct, and maybe drop down and then move up, whatever. But it's overall is upside, right? So yeah, XPT, sure. Let's take a look. Yeah, let's talk about it. Remember, I think someone asked me about a potential buy, and I was saying not really into the buy. Even at the time, I think it was a structure like this, and I think he was saying that this could be a possible buy. And remember, on Monday, I mentioned, well, that is looking like this, but the overall downtrend is still strong, right? So you gotta be careful if it does. It could just easily move up here, form a structure, and push down, which is basically what happens now, right? It looks like it's basically just creating a bigger structure like this, and it's more moving to the downside now. Um, Again, if this fits your plan to enter, I think if you get a lower time frame development here, it's okay to sell. But because price is still hovering around this previous low, I think the best case scenario is a push down completely, like an impulse push down, and then a correction here is much, much more ideal than looking for a sell here. That's just me personally, my personal preference, because this is a consolidation and it's not finished yet to a point where this can easily push down to here. And then what if it reverses back up? So this is where the market tends to play a little bit more tricks on traders. So if you're looking for downside, I think it's better if the impulse happens breaking this whole low. Right, there is a few breaking previous low, but there's no correction. We need to wait for a consolidation to go lower. Right? I think that's going to be better entry than kind of where it is now. Like if it forms a correction here, sure, that is a correction and that's a possible entry. But what if it just kind of correct here, push down here, and then start reversing back up again? Right, that's a possibility as well, right? So to reduce that, I would wait for a complete impulse down and then lower time frame correction. I think that's going to be slightly better in this case. Uh, so question about long-term investment ETF. You want to hold it for 20 years. How can you show a broker can exist 20 years? That's why you need to choose reputable brokers, right? First off, if you're choosing ETF, uh, you should probably choose one of the better ones, right? Like Vanguard or something. Like if you ever want to buy ETF, you should make sure you choose top investment firms, right? Like something like this is um, basically number one in the world, right? I think uh, largest provider of mutual funds, second largest provider of ETF, right? Something like this. So if you're gonna choose to buy ETF, go with the top firms in the world, and these top firms have very very good relationship with the government. Okay, so they're basically backed up by government regulation. It's like Forex Group, right? You hear me talk about Forex brokers are regulated, and in like certain countries, the countries are basically backing up the company, saying that if the company goes default, you will get your money back, right? Because the company itself is reputable with the country, right? So the country is basically backing up the reputable company. Like they pay obviously a lot of taxes to the government every year, right? So go with obviously the most well known firms out there, right? Do your own research, of course, right? Like they've been around since 1975, right? So likely to stay for more years to come. Forex with 10 US dollar. What do you think? Give me some rules. I mean, risk management, my friend. Risk management. Have your own trading plan. Um, Understanding forex trading or any trading in general is not some get rich quick schemes, unlike what social media tells you. You need to understand your $10, you're not looking to flip that into $100. If that's your mindset, you're surely going to not succeed. You need to understand why we have risk management, why we trade a small percentage of our account um, in order for us to be consistent, right? So why is it all altcoins moving the same as BTC? Well, BTC is like a US dollar, right? So all crypto tends to follow what Bitcoin is doing. It's just how it is, right? But some doesn't, right? If I want to point out, like Solana is Solana has been pushing up massively. I don't know if you guys uh, are into this or pay attention to this one. I mean, like in August, it's at 33, right? In 1 month, it raised to like 190, which is like unbelievable, right? Like it basically went up 500% in a month, right? Which is crazy. And it's not, it did have the push down, but it looks like it recovered much, much more, in my opinion, right? It pushed down, recover. It didn't really drop down like a Bitcoin did, right? Bitcoin dropped a lot more, and a couple other coins dropped a lot more as well, right? So some coins will follow, some coins will not, right? Like see Luna is like pulling back up quite a bit, right? Uh, Tron is also pulling back quite a bit, right? So it's not necessarily all of them following. It's just more like this. It's when think about this when Bitcoin started dropping during this moment, people panic, right? This is what retail traders do. It's when they panic, they're going to sell. So not only they're going to sell their Bitcoin position, they're going to sell every other positions. That's just how typical traders mindset is, right? So when they sell, they're going to drop, right? That's just how it is. But a lot of these are recovering, right? You can see that while most of these crypto on my watch list is red, there is red one. I mean, there is green ones that is doing better than a couple other ones, right? So I don't think you need to be American to buy Vanguard. I don't think you need to. You can do a little bit of research, but I don't think you need to be American to open an account with Vanguard. But you can correct me if I'm wrong later. Let me know if as well if that's. But you can do a lot of research on other firms, right? Like people who are in US, people who are in US cannot trade commodities, cannot trade indices. I mean, cannot trade contract for difference, right? Those of you who are in US, you guys understand this. You cannot trade gold, you cannot trade silver, you cannot even trade these indices, CFDs, right? These are all contract for difference. But what you can do is trade ETF, right? You can open up ETF accounts, you can trade them, because Vanguard will offer ETF just like any other ones, right? While you cannot trade S&P 500 like on a Forex broker, but you can open a Vanguard ETF and you can trade ETF, right? You can buy ETF as like a stock pretty much, right? So yeah, let's take a look at some stocks. Apple. I think we talked about this last week, right? My bias here is the sell, right? We're in this like larger kind of ascending structure. We have a smaller structure within the larger one. This is all good. And I mentioned if this breaks up, continue and push up, and we're not interested. But if this push down followed by a correction, or even push out and followed by a correction, I think it is better and it's fine to look for a sell like this. But I think the overall bias is pretty clear for a sell as long as this completes. Yep. So, any other question, guys? Any other question for me? Any other questions or any pairs you want me to take a look? I can take a look. Copper, yeah, yeah, yeah. Looks like you guys are copper, copper, copper. You're welcome, buddy. You're welcome, huh? You're welcome. Yeah, Aussie Cat Gold. Yeah, let me go over them as well. So, copper. Um, I think we talked about this maybe a couple of weeks ago about that we are at this all-time high, right? This is the all-time high, if I'm correct. All-time high here sometimes can give you a potential significance of a potential sell, especially price didn't really break above and then continue, right? It kind of just had a crash. I mean, so it had a reversal, not a crash. I apologize. Now, it depends on what you see here. Like you can see someone saying about this is a inverse head and shoulder. Yeah, that is reasonable. But I also think all this is not giving me too much of a confluence at this given moment. Yes, there is inverse head and shoulder. Remember, we're going to see price action structures and pattern anywhere in the market, right? That's just how it is. But it may or may not always work out. Especially, I would prefer if we're looking for bullish bias. I want to see some sort of development that leads to it. This just seems like an impulse off followed by correction, but there is no other factor because the higher time frame to me is looking like it is reversing or at least rejecting this high here. I haven't get enough of a price to see that this is going to be a buy. I think the sell is more likely. Okay, the sell, at least the momentum looks more stronger, in my opinion. But I'm really not seeing a sell bias either. I mean, like a structure here, right? I don't see a structure here. That's kind of what I'm trying to say. It's a little bit indecisive, a little bit, so I'm happy to wait a little bit longer, as I always say, because looks like there's some sort of buy bias here if people look at this as inverse head and shoulder, or some people just see it as a downside move and then potentially continue downside because of this higher time frame double top, right? So that's kind of how I see it. Let's move on here to a couple other ones to wrap it up. Aussie CAD. So Aussie Cat, there is some conflicting kind of point of view. Some of you guys was in the buy here and then pushes up, and then I mentioned if it breaks this high, if it forms bullish continuation, then there's a possibility of going higher. But if we look deeper here, it looks like this is more of a consolidation. Okay, to me, this is more of a consolidation to push lower. Okay, so it looks like that it looks like this is forming into more of a ascending structure to push the price and then to go lower. So because it broke the high here, it almost looked like this could be a reason, like a lower time frame double top. And if this does push down followed by a correction, it can reasonably go lower as well. Now, this is going to line up here with Kiwi Cat, in my opinion. Kiwi Cat here is also potential. It's just like it keep pushing up a little bit higher. Now, if we do get a reversal from this area, if we do have a push down from the price and correction, I think a sell here would be much, much good and better than Aussie CAD when it comes to sell, okay? Because I think Kiwi CAD has the downside move. We have a larger correction. If we do have bearish reversal here, I think the sell will be better than Aussie CAD, looking for a sell down here. Okay, that's why I see on Aussie CAD. Gold, I'm not too interested in gold. We did see a little bit of bearish movement from the price, but again, you can see that already it kind of retraced back up. So if whoever enters the sell, it's already at a break even, right? I personally is more neutral on gold because while I do see there is kind of a lower time frame push down, but we could easily kind of fall into a bigger consolidation. Something like this, it could be an inverse head and shoulder as well, and then potentially form into a bullish price action to go. So it's a little bit conflicting in my opinion. So I'm happy to just stay out of it until I see further development on gold. Do I trade other commodities? Yeah, I do. Oil, all these commodity watches, I do pay attention to them. It's just that they don't necessarily develop every single time, like Forex pairs, whatever. But I do keep an eye on them. I do my watch list, outlook, market update on them as well. LBS1, I don't even know what that is, but let's take a look. This is lumber. Okay. Oh yeah, somebody talked to me. I remember I saw this happen, like a huge rise and a huge sell, right? I mean, something like this tends when this something like this happen, then you gotta be careful because such a big movement. What do we expect here? Well, usually when I see an impulse up followed by a reversal impulse, if there is consolidation here, it generally gives you another opportunity to sell, right? So, but I really don't see anything going on here. There is no buy and sell, in my opinion, at this given moment. I would rather wait for a larger consolidation that will give you a confirmation of a potential sell. Aussie Swiss. Aussie Swiss kind of went over this with Kiwi Swiss. I think they are relatively similar, and my bias, or at least my view here, is a potential long if we get the right bullish price action. So we need the consolidation, continuation correction to form and complete before consider entry. Same thing with Aussie Swiss here, right? To me, I see this as more of an expanding structure. It's pushing up. It did form a correction, or it's trying to form a consolidation here. So you gotta wait for a consolidation here to complete before placing an entry order, right? We always talk about entry orders. But if it doesn't form, it doesn't happen. If it drops, then no entry, right? You move on to other opportunities. Okay, thank you. Yeah, you're welcome, guys. I'm happy to do these. No problem. So that is it, everyone. If there's any last minute question, but this is it for me. Did talk for about an hour and 40 minutes, but it was a little bit quicker for the market update. But I did go over all the pairs. And like I said, I'm not too interested in the dollar pairs right now. I'm happy to wait a little bit longer on most of these, right? So again, patient, right? This is trading is about patience, right? It's your ability to not enter positions when there nothing is developing, and your ability to enter when the price does develop, and you execute without any hesitation. Some traders talk to me about they're scared of entering. They're scared of entering positions when the price does form the right development and that fits their plan to enter, but they are afraid to enter, usually because of they have taken a bunch of losses already, or because they uh, have a fear now of losing, right? A bunch of psychology factors where you need to work on that, right? You need to work on the psychology factor, you need to work on the emotion factor as well, right? Because if you're afraid of entering positions because you take losses, then ask yourself why, right? Because is it because you have not backtest enough, you have not done enough chart work, you have not put in enough time and effort from your end to be comfortable, right? If you're afraid of entering position on a smaller account, then ask yourself this: what if you have a larger account now? Are you going to be extra afraid? Yeah, probably. So if you're going to be afraid on a small account, then when you have a larger account, which is I think most traders want to be, is you want to have a larger account so you can make a lot more money. Then you're going to be even more scared of executing trades on your larger account, right? So you got to start working on the mindset and emotion, start putting your emotion away, right? As long as you cap your risk at 1%, you're never going to lose more than 1% on a regular basis. So if you lose 1%, right, that's fine, and you can get back into a position if it developed the right price action, then do it accordingly, right? It's that simple, right? You see, I can comfortably take a loss here, that's fine, and then I can comfortably get back into a position as long as the everything still stays the same, right? Because higher time frame down to lower time frame, nothing changes. We're still in this larger expanding structure. The bias of the sell is there. We have the double top. We have a M style pattern here. We have that rising wedge. We have a mini double top. We have that impulse to push down. Like this could be easily be a correction here to go lower, right? So all this is a combination of confluence that I'm happy to enter and I'm happy to accept the risk. For those who are afraid or having fear, did you do you accept the risk already? Any trade that I enter, I already accept the fact that it can go to a loss. It doesn't matter about your technical analysis, it doesn't matter your fundamental, it really doesn't matter anything. Any trade that you enter can end up in a loss. As long as you agree with that statement right off the bat, then trading is not really going to be fearsome because you already accept that any trade you enter can be a loss. So why be upset when it goes to a loss? On the other hand, when you limit the number of trades, when you only trade higher probability, when you give yourself better chance than other traders who are entering multiple positions, then you don't need to be afraid, right? Because you know you're always going to enter the best potential trades. If it doesn't work out, well, do your journal, understand why it didn't work out. Is it because your entry criteria or anything, or is it just because the is a good trade that just gone to a loss? If it's a good entry that gone to a loss, you don't need to think about it too much. If it's a bad entry, if it's a emotion entry, if it's a rush entry, if it's a if it's an impulsive decision that you enter, then you need to work on that aspect, right? It's very simple. All right, so I hope this helps some of the traders who are struggling on this concept, because that is what you need to do to be a consistent trader. All right, we talk about this in my latest post about this mini lesson, right? The statistical don't lie, right? 90 to 95% traders lose money in the market. Okay, most social media trading guru will not tell you this because they want you to buy into whatever they're selling, whether it's signals or courses or whatever, right? Subscription. They will never tell you this fact that most traders fail. I'm telling you this because I want you to put in more time and effort than the other 95% traders out there. Okay, you need to put in more work, more time, more effort to make it work. Nobody tell you trading is easy unless the typical scammers or whatever. Uh, Trading is a profession that requires time and effort to make it work. It is what it is, right? So ask yourself if you're putting in the time and effort more than the 95 traders out there. Then if you are, then you're on road to be consistent and sustainable. If you haven't, then start doing that, right? It's not going to come to you in a second. It's not going to come to you if you buy into someone's course and you right away become a trading guru. It doesn't work that way, okay? You can learn from other people, you can buy into whatever they're selling, but it ultimately comes to your ability to process all the knowledge and information and then use that towards your advantage. Because at the end of the day, nobody is in charge of your trading account, nobody is in charge forcing you to enter any positions except you, right? So focus on the things you can control, which is your mindset, emotion, your entry, management, and risk. And don't need to worry too much about the things you cannot control, which is the market, the price, and etc. Okay. So I hope this all helps you to understand the importance of psychology and emotion. And I hope that will help you guys to be better trader in the future. All right. Pound Swiss. Okay. Wrapping up here, guys. Pound Swiss. Do I see anything? No, I really don't see too much. I mean, I see something developing here, like a potential structure, but that's not really something I would look for a sell unless that fits your plan, like pound dollar or something like that. I think pound Swiss is not really fitting my plan unless this kind of just breaks down followed by correction. Even something like this really doesn't, I want to say it really doesn't fit my plan to enter. But it's up to you guys, of course, up to you if you see this as a good confluence to sell. I mean, the bias here is more of a leaning towards a sell, right? I just wanted to see if we can actually push up to the high here, at least to a double top or something like that, where it's going to be much more confluence to look for a sell, and you're at top to look for a sell. That's all. Is there still time to enter euro yen? I mean, yeah. I mean, if you see this as a correction that you want to enter, I think I went over this earlier. If you want to enter something like this, I think it's fine. Like you can enter something like 25 pips or 30 pips, depending on how you see this, right? And then if you see this as a correction, I do like how we're breaking below this low. So if that fits your plan to enter, then I think this is fine, right? Can we get 3-1? Yeah, we could get 3-1 even just down to the low here. And like your second target could be at the bottom here, right? At the bottom of this expanding structure, right? So it would be a pretty good sizable, sorry, would be pretty sizable, like 7-1 or something, if that fits your plan to enter. So all right, everyone. So that is it for me. That is it for me. So I'm just currently running one euro yen positions. I did take a loss on euro yen on Tuesday or Monday, or I forgot. But after I update this position on Monday live stream, but I did take a loss here. But I was able to get back into this position, but just one position running. I already closed down Ripple, right? When got out of the Ripple for 1.5% here. And so I only have one position running right now, which is euro yen, and we'll see how that goes, right? So remember, we don't enter market orders, right? If you want to enter something like this, set the entry order so the price tags you in instead of trying to catch the top here. And what if it just reverts back up, right? So, right. So that is it, everyone. So I'll catch you guys all next time, and I'll do a trade recap videos on the weekend as always, outlining the trades that I took or in. And any question, comment, feel free to join my Telegram to ask me questions. If you haven't joined my Telegram, this is where I post all my analysis, updates, educational lessons. Everything is in here. So if you're interested, you can join. There's nothing here for sale. Everything is free. And all my price action content is on my YouTube. You can watch everything on my playlist. It divide everything up. There's hours and hours of content that you can learn everything I do in price action. So, and TradingView, if you want to follow up the idea, it's all here as well.